What's up, everybody? We just had the big Diablo 4 Season 10 reveal, where they showcase all of the big new features, the new seasonal mechanics, the new items, bosses, everything like that. So we've got a lot to talk about. You know, I missed it. Where was it? Where was this big seasonal reveal? There is normally a big stream on their official channels where all of the devs, they sit down and they showcase the cool mechanics, the new spells, the bosses, and they hype you up for it. And, you know, there's a bit of showmanship with it. Where was it? Where was this big reveal? On Discord. It was on the Sanctuary, which is, I think, the official Diablo 4 Discord. And it was literally, I joined this, it was like 900 people just sat in a call. There was a couple of devs here and they talked through a lot of the stuff, and they, you know, they showed a few things, and it was all right. It was just a very weird way to, you know, showcase a new season from, you know, one of the biggest companies, one of the biggest ARPGs. I don't know. I guess it's just because this is like leading up to the PTR, and they'll probably have a big full reveal on their channel a little bit closer. But yeah, we know everything about Season 10 pretty much now. And one thing that's going to make you all really happy, one thing that's going to bring everyone back for Season 10, no more powers. Season 10, the Chaos season, does not have seasonal powers. That's right, we have seasonal perks. This is Chaos perks, and they made it very clear they do not want to call them powers. They want to move away from powers. So these are Chaos perks. So take with that what you will. Let's get into the full breakdown of the season. Okay, now Season 10 will be the season of Chaos. Now, you know, we all like to poke fun at Diablo a little bit, but jokes aside, some of the mechanics and some of the new things coming in Season 10 look very exciting. And I'm looking forward to talking about them and playing through it, because they have made some big changes here that I feel like the game has really needed. So Season 10 is about these Chaos Rifts. It's all about, you know, Chaos, and there was a lot of emphasis on Chaos Rifts. I'm going to talk about that first. So these Chaos Rifts will open in different areas in the open world, in Nightmare Dungeons, and we have the chance to close them. And when we close them, we'll have to fight all of the demons that come out of them, and then they will seal up and we'll get rewards, and you know, they can spawn kind of everywhere. Now, not only are they going to be in like Nightmare Dungeons and in the open world, they are going to be in Infernal Hordes. And Infernal Hordes are getting a bit of a shake-up, a bit of a update, which they really needed. You know, we haven't really seen any changes to Infernal Hordes since they came out. So the two big changes we're getting in Infernal Hordes in the Chaos season, one is we are getting a easy version. We are getting, I don't know if they've talked about it here, but we are getting a easy version of the Infernal Hordes that we can do while leveling. So it's going to be a 4-wave kind of easy one that we can go and do and get, you know, these Chaos rewards while leveling, which is pretty good. And then secondly, we are going to get Chaos options during the Infernal Horde. So if you haven't played for a while, these Infernal Hordes are like wave-based. You complete a wave, and then you get to make an option. And it's like, you know, spawn more of these, get these dropped from these monsters, and it's kind of like roguelike-y. And now we're going to get a chance to get a Chaos option. And the Chaos choices apparently are going to be very, very interesting. And you can see some things here, like there's like a rift, and they're spawning a bunch of monsters. Here you can see like 2 things like opening up that are going to spew out monsters. So it's looking to be fairly interesting stuff. They also said like one option could be where a mass that normally spawns on the outside is going to spawn in the middle, and instead of destroying it, you have to protect it. So some pretty cool mix-ups, some pretty interesting stuff. And then when you beat the Infernal Hordes, there is a new boss at the end called Bartok, which is pretty cool. And when we get to Bartok, we have to have earned enough ether to pay the entry to go and fight him. So it says here, look, each member of your party will need to spend ether to fight the infamous Bartok, who was once known as the blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so we get to fight this new boss, and they didn't show any footage of him. All we really have is the photo. But yeah, the new boss, change up to Infernal Hordes, and I think very much needed. Okay, now that stuff is pretty interesting on its own. It's a nice little addition, but it's nothing to get you excited about. This is exciting. This is the most exciting thing I think Diablo 4 have done in a very long time. They are adding Chaos Armor. Now, it's not tier sets, it's not anything like that, but Chaos Armor is fascinating. Now, I'm not going to read through all of this in like a super monotonous tone. I'm going to tell you it as best I understand it from what they said. Think of all the uniques in the game that we know of. These are like the general uniques, barbarian uniques, druid uniques. You know, these are most of the uniques. They said it's going to be most of the uniques in the game. So you'll be familiar with, you know, the uniques of your class. Now, when you look at your unique, it only rolls in the place it rolls. So like a Banished Lord's Talisman is an amulet, and it will always be an amulet. In Season 10, a unique can like mutate into another item, and it can drop in the wrong slot. So a Banished Lord's Talisman can drop as a hand, and you can see these are exactly the same. You know, they've got life, attack power, overpower damage, and the same special effect at the bottom. But instead of being on the neck, they're on the hands. And any of those uniques that we just scrolled through, all these here, can roll in a different slot, and they can roll in any of these slots: helm, chest, gloves, pants, boots. So if you were to look down here and say on Druid, the Majornic ring could drop as a boot, right? So in terms of like the different builds we can make and the different things we can do, that's wild, because a lot of the time there are really good things for certain slots, and you're really fighting for a good amulet slot. You're really fighting for a good, like, I don't know, chest piece slot. But then maybe you've got nothing good on your boots. Now you could get a really good unique in two places, right? Or like you could take a really good unique from the neck, put it on your boots, and still have a good unique or a good aspect on your neck. So this is really, really exciting. On top of this, they will spawn with a max roll plus 20%. So you can see here it's 20 to 60. It will roll with 72. So it will always have max roll plus 20%. So it's like the best it can be. I don't know how the great graphics is going to work. Maybe there's still like an RNG chance of getting a great graphics, but these are fascinating. And they said there's no fixed thing. So the Banished Lord's Talisman isn't always going to be a glove. The Banished Lord's Talisman can be any of these 5 things, which is really, really cool. I think it's one of the most interesting things they've done. You can see here again, look, it's just stuff rolling in the wrong place. So yeah, really cool. And you can see like 20% boost on all of the things. Very exciting. I think this is really, really interesting. They also said these can't be traded. So you can't just like go and trade for these. They have to be dropped. You have to find them. They're gonna have like a green glow, I think they said, and they're gonna have to drop. So if you find these, it's like, I think the one thing Diablo 4 really, really needs is chase items. The feeling you get from like PoE when a really cool thing drops, it's an adrenaline rush, like a mirror or like, you know, divines. It's an adrenaline rush, and we don't have that in Diablo. I never got that adrenaline rush from items. This can be very exciting. If you think of like Abyss unique dropping in like a foot spot or something that, you know, your build doesn't use, the amount of power increase you're getting on top of like the 20% boost here is going to be huge. So I think this is very, very exciting. That's the main thing that I'm really looking forward to. Okay, now everybody's favorite Chaos perks. They made it very clear they do not want these to be called powers, despite the fact they look just like powers, despite the fact you put one major one in and 3 minor ones in, just like powers, and despite the fact that the UI is a copy paste of the powers from season 6, 7, 8, and 9. But they don't want them being called powers. They are perks. And credit where credit is due. I've read through these, and they are much, 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 much more interesting than powers. So let's give them a little bit of credit until we've tested it out. So basically, they said that with powers, the way they've always worked is they are small additions to your build. So you have your build, and then you put your power on, and it gives you a bit of a damage increase. You put your power on, and it gives you a bit of a change to a certain thing. And in Season 9, they tried to say, you know, this is going to change your build. It didn't. Season 9 powers were boring, in my opinion. These will. These look like they will change your build completely. So the way this works is you will have all of these different options. I'm not going to read them all out. I'll link the PTR notes if you want to go through them one by one. There's loads. But these are like the the different abilities that you can have. And you can see here, like, they're pretty wild. Defeating an enemy generates 2 stacks of chaos, and damage to a boss generates chaos. At 100, unleash 9 chaotic bursts. All pretty cool stuff. And as you go through them all, they're all really interesting. You know, for every 10% of life you're missing, you get increased damage, and 5% damage reduction. Spending resource drains life. So this is like really interesting stuff that you will have to build around. You will have to change your build to make a lot of this work. But where it gets really interesting is there are class-specific powers. So if we look at Barbarian, you've got Magic, Rare, Legendary, Unique. Now, for example, the Legendary, your equipped shouts are now always active with up to 40% increased effect, but your maximum Fury is reduced by 20% per shout equipped. So you never have to press your Fury buttons. They're just always on. Is that not the most game-breaking thing they've ever done for warriors? That looks amazing. So big downside that we have to build around. You know, we have to get loads and loads of Fury, or we have to play with like a basic skill and then get its cost down to 0, something like that. Really interesting. Looking at Druid, we have something like Savagery. Your companion skills are altered to be core skills. Your companions grow inside and get up to 60% summon damage. Or their transformations, they shape shift into a new form gives you a free skill. We go for, say, Necromancer. Your base core skills are now empowered as ultimate skills and cost no essence, but have cooldowns. Your base ultimate skills are now altered to be core skills and have no cooldown, but cost essence. So these are huge. And every class has like really weird stuff. Sorcerer had a really cool one with Mana Shield. They're unique. You have 99% reduced max life, but any damage you would take is done to your mana before your life. If you've not taken damage in the last 4 seconds, mana regen is increased by 5,000%. Now, if you played PoE, here we do a very similar thing where you put yourself to 1 HP and you live off of your mana pool. And you can see they're doing things like that. And every one of these is interesting. Like, I'm not going to redo every single one. I've spoke about some really cool ones. For example, if we look at Spiritborn, Convocation of Spirits unique. Casting a non-ultimate skill has a 1% chance to invoke the spirit of your skill type, which deals 200% damage. Chance increased by 1% of your ultimate skill damage, up to 10%. So you funnel your entire build around ultimate damage, and you try and trigger this every 10%, and then you get your attack speed up so that you are doing as many attacks as possible to trigger this more. So you see, like, I genuinely think these are going to change the way we make our builds, which is one thing that Diablo 4 has always failed at. Diablo 4 has had the most stagnant meta. You know, every single season, you look at the tier list, you look at the leaderboard, you look at the videos coming out, and you can almost predict what the meta is going to be on day one. And now with these, maybe you can predict it, but they're going to be different. There's going to be some very interesting and unique builds coming out, and that is one thing I'm super, super excited about. I think this is a bit of a risk in terms of balance. I think this could go absolutely wild, but hey, I'm for it. I think we need that right now. I think we need to completely shake up the game a little bit. Does that mean we're going to have some classes, you know, doing pit 150s and some classes struggling? Maybe, but it's going to be fun, and Diablo 4 needs a bit of fun. So yeah, that's most of the season. Obviously, there's lots of other small changes. Now, there's loads of things on here. There's loads of small powers and new uniques. There's lots of things come in, and I'm not going to read through every single one because, you know, this will be like a 40-minute video. I'll link it down below if you want to go through, you know, your classes stuff in detail. I just wanted to do an overview to you know, let you know that there has been an announcement for Season 10 and, you know, maybe, yeah, some encouraging stuff that makes Season 10 actually look really exciting. So, yeah, if you want to go read in detail, go ahead. I believe the PTR is available for testing in 4 days. It'll probably be PC only, as usual. But, yeah, I'm going to play it. I'll let you know if it's good. You know, I'm always honest about if these seasons are good or not. This one, I'm very excited for. And even if it just means we get to go in and like break the builds a little bit, I think that'll be fun. But yeah, let me know what you think. Is this like something new, finally something exciting, or are you not impressed? I'm curious what you think. But that's it for this video. Take care. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.